what else? Okay, then after that, then there is like praise and worship. There's like people doing poetry. There's people who's like doing some kind of dance and holding up Jesus and everybody looking for Jesus. No idea really what that's. And also testimony. So, but after that, then there is adoration where then everybody went into the hall for adoration. Then what happened was that there was also reconciliation, and beside the reconciliation, there was there are 6 or 8 priests down there. Then beside that reconciliation part, there's the praying over. So I went for reconciliation, then went for praying over, and the people that prayed over me, so very interesting. I went for reconciliation. There was like, okay, I know a few priests here. Okay, then I said, Father John Paul, Father John Paul. So all 8 priests I cannot Father John Paul. I was just telling him the week before that. After the prayer meeting, we said, we're going. I'm going to the Catholic Youth Day. Then after that, I'm also scheduled for reconciliation and all that. 10 to 12, very xiong. I saw him there. Then he's also very surprised. But then that's how God works. The priest that you don't want, then you'll get that, right? For reconciliation. But so that was quite a good reconciliation. Then during praying over, then I was being prayed over by 2 young girls. I think maybe teens secondary school and all that. At first I was like, okay, there, must be humble, But I think the whole process was very, very nice, and it was like very, it was humbling, but it felt very. I felt very joyful during the praying over, because it's not like, some of us has been active and we've been praying over people, and it's so heartening to see very young girls, even younger than Stephanie, that really very young girls that praying, and I felt that there's so much joy. It's like God really uses the instruments very well. And one of the passages that shared with me, I shall use for today's teaching, and that is where we will begin the teaching today. So, a reading from the Gospel of Matthew. And when he got into the boat, his disciples followed him. And behold, there arose a great storm on the sea, so that the boat was being swarmed by the waves, but he was asleep. And they went and woke him, saying, Save us, Lord, we are perishing. And he said to them, Why are you afraid, O man of little faith? Then he rose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. And the man marveled, saying, What sort of man is this, that even winds and sea obey him? The Gospel of the Lord. So let us just spend a moment to reflect on the Gospel. So, in our current society, at this time, we are living in a time where everything has really become very secularized, very material, a lot of materialism, and sometimes like the people, the apostles in the boat. When Jesus came into our boat, we tend to find ourselves in the middle of a storm, and very difficult to, it seems like it's a very difficult thing to get out of. And it seems like, we are so alone, scooping out water, throwing water come in, you throw water come in, like more water come in, and they can throw in, and there's a certain sense of like frustration and all that, and it's really not unlike our loneliness, where we find ourselves sometimes working very hard, achieving and things like that, and yet we become very lonely, even though we have friends, even though like we have nice boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, etc. But yet there is also a sense of loneliness, and part of it, is because sometimes we become very attached to things, right? We become very attached to handphones, gadgets, nice watches, etc. Right? Computers. Some of us are very attached to our careers, our relationship, our status in society, and some of us are attached to pleasures, eating, like myself, eating, then you have like drinking, some people drinking secretly, okay, partying, okay, and other things maybe going overseas. So, not directed at anybody, okay? I must make disclaimer. But some of us, all of us are in a way, it's a symptom of our brokenness, where some of us feed our certain attraction to something, and we are all more particularly attracted to a certain thing. So, some of us, even our egos, we unconsciously we want other people's approval, and also it makes us feel that we are okay, we are good, and success and all that. And it is no wonder that we are becoming very lonely, because a lot of this, fits our own self-exhaustion, and become very inward-looking. And what's more, now that in the age, we have also become a society of instant gratification. I think a lot of this, where the handphone comes in, once we can get information, we just Google it or Wikipedia it, and we cannot get it, and we become very frustrated. I know my boss become very frustrated when he cannot get things faster. So I also see myself being like this as well. And yet, I think it becomes even worse. It becomes very self-absorbed. And we become like, this is mine, my pleasure, I must protect it. And if I don't get it, I'll become very irritable. And even when we go to our God, we pray to Him, say, God, help me, fix this and all that. Few days not fix, and like, why? We take God as our Panadol, we eat already, we must feel relief and all that. And we don't feel it, and the irritation comes in and all that. And I think all this has made us very lonely people, regardless of who we are with and what we're with. And in a way, we have become more broken, and we have fit into our sin. And that's why, there is a deep sense of loneliness, and it only adds to the fear that, sometimes the devil speaks to us. And this fear will only make us more inward. One of the ways I think we can look at this is, we have to look at, we are not created to be a monk. Well, some people are monk, but that is really to get away from the attachment. But we are not just a person alone. We are not really self-sufficient. We cannot save ourselves. We are made for relationships. We are made for a deep relationship with other people. Relationships that are meaningful, that are self-giving, life-giving to others. In Genesis, I think chapter 2, verse 18, one of the things that God says that is not good, He says, it is not good that man should be alone. And indeed, we are created to be a community. We are created to be like the image of God. God Himself is not alone. God is a Trinity, right? God is a community of love. And that is where we are created to be. We are created to love one another. And that is the image that we are to follow. And sometimes this relationship will call us to give a bit more of ourselves. To give up more of our self-indulgence and to give up on our self-idolatry. We are not the center of our universe, and sometimes we don't realize that we are becoming that. Everything is, I'm not getting this, I'm not getting that, and nothing is in my way. I'm angry. This person has hurt me. But sometimes in a relationship where we come to care for the other person, we try to love them more. And what is this love? Love is really to will the good for the other. But sometimes in our society, the word love for one another is also distorted. Like, for example, if I come to know Edo and I can kind of care for him and things like that, and I want the good for him, right? So, for example, maybe one day I go out lunch with Edo and we are eating, and I see, Edo, you look very pale today. You should eat more vegetables. I take away his chicken and his pork and eat more vegetable. You eat your vegetable, then I just shove it in his mouth. Okay, so I'm not giving suggestions to Maggie, but but in a way, is it good for Edo to eat vegetable? Yes, it is good for us. Yes, of course. Edo, you should eat your vegetables.
That's why I asked you to go to the salad bowl and have order salad.
Yeah, raw salad and bitter gourd.
Like purple cabbage and then lettuce, onion and tomato.
So many people
almost crying already. No, but then, it is good for Edo, but then if I really care for Edo's sake, I want him to accept vegetable as part of his daily diet. In a gentle way, slowly.
More like in like something that can attract Edo to eat more vegetables.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I must induce him. Yes.
Like the vegetable that at least Edo can enjoy like that, not something that's so what.
Yeah, not so much pain lah.
No.
So if I really care for Edo in this sense, I should really look from his perspective. How could he accept vegetable as something that is good for him and not just force him to eat vegetable like that? So sometimes our relationship is like this, If I look at it from my way, just force feeding Edo with vegetable, it's actually my selfishness. I want to be good and I want him to see me as I'm doing him good, but I'm forcing him. But yet, from his viewpoint, that is not really what love is. It really feels like dictatorship. And sometimes, that image, we have this distortion of the image. And sometimes this image not only goes into our relationship with other people, it also goes into our relationship with God as well. I think ultimately when we look at this sense of loneliness, it is not that we don't have people around us. I hope most of us, we have friends, at least a good friend that we can speak to. But yet, there is something that, it is very different. That is from other people, from other creatures, that we are actually made, to seek God, right? We have something within us that no matter what thing or who we have in our life, it cannot fill up the gap that is within us. And some people call this the God-shaped hole. So you cannot fill something which is the wrong shape into the God-shaped hole. You can only fill God into our hearts. That, only God can fill it. So some of the theologians will say that, it is like you're going to the beach, right? And you dig a hole in the sand. And you try to fill the whole sea into that hole. It feels very strange. You can't do that because the sea is so vast and your hole is so small. So likewise, you cannot fill something that it is very finite into our infinite hole. Make sense?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so maybe we'll use a better one next time. But yet, it is true, right? No matter whether we are in a relationship, married or attached or even single, we sometimes feel lonely. We wonder why. Why do we have that loneliness? Even though we do have meaningful and deep relationship, right? It is because we are made by God and we are made to belong to Him. And it is not because God is very cruel, want to make us only goes to Him. Actually, He wants us to go to Him, but it's not that He's forcing us to go to Him. He still gives us a choice. That's why people are very stressed with the choice these days. They can still choose without God. You can still choose your materialistic world and fill yourself with partying, booze, drugs, sex, and all that, which some of the people are being addicted to. But yet, we are also called to go towards the Lord, to have that deep relationship with the Lord. And sometimes I think, it is difficult for us to understand this, even though we understand in our heads. But in our hearts, it is difficult for us to understand. So, for example, at night when you are lonely, what's the first thing you do? I bet you the first thing you do is not to just to go to Lord and pray, right? Who does that? Okay. Some of you do that, okay? Right? Some people say, I'm lonely. Oh God, like that. And you start saying psalms, one of the Psalm 23 is like, the Lord is my shepherd, there's nothing I shall want. It's like, wow, so dramatic. But it is good to sing that psalm, which is good, for meditation when you are lonely. But yet, what do? I will tell you what I do. Usually, I will just go to YouTube and look for video that makes me laugh, or makes me think. If you want to laugh, maybe you want to watch a cat video. You want to think, maybe you can watch the commentary on Brexit, and laugh at them, even so stupid. So, and sometimes you play games, on the handphone, and things like that. But very seldom, we'll think that, it is a call from my lover, my divine lover. I shall go to Him, and all that. Maybe if you can do that, then not very far from being a saint, sometimes we fall short, right? In our hearts, sometimes we still find it difficult to find God as somebody that is very important. Even if our hearts, in our heads, that there's nothing that can fill our restlessness, like what St. Augustine would say, we are restless because we are restless. Okay, good. That one is. So we are restless until we rest. Our heart rests in You. Okay. So, but our hearts, sometimes because we are distracted by the world, right? We will find that it is very difficult. And I think one of the key things that that is stopping us from being close to the Lord is this trust, right? How much do we trust the Lord? So the key, I think today we want to look at is how much do we trust the Lord? And what has this got to do with overcoming loneliness? Because I think, unless we can fully rest our hearts and trust in the Lord, we will always feel lonely. And it is a journey, it is a journey to going into that trust, trust which is hope and that faith in the Lord. And it is not that we don't know that we need to trust the Lord, we know, but our hearts cannot trust. And the obstacles, some of the, and you know, maybe we want to do and find out how much do we trust the Lord. So, have we ever think about this question this week when we ask the Lord, what do you want of me, Lord? Right? And or what are you asking for me to do now? And maybe at your own place, it's a bit hard because you're all crazy, you become very crazy. But then, every now and then, throughout the week, or even every day, we ask, what do you want of me, Lord? But perhaps, another way we can look at how much we trust the Lord is, perhaps we can think about what are the things we are most afraid that God will ask us to do. And I think, perhaps when we think about that, then those might be the areas that we can find where our attachment is, right? That's one. And where our unreasonable fears are. So these are the two major obstacles that might come up that can stop us from trusting the Lord. When you look at unreasonable fears, of course there is a sense where in our situations when we are lonely, when it's difficult and we feel very far away from God, that it might be the devil telling us that, oh no, God don't love you and all that. And yet, sometimes our reasonable fears can also be circumstantial. For example, we might have an image of God in our hearts who is a dictator. Sometimes an image of God who is a boss. Like the boss in our workplace, who might be unreasonable, who is imperfect, and who might not know you very well, and asking you to maybe work more and get less paid. So, at times it happens. So, it might also be from parents. I believe that, in all parents and child relationship, no matter how good it is, the parents always have, there is always occasions where the parents will hurt the child and the child will hurt the parent. And sometimes this hurt can be still within us, and we feel that the parents don't understand us. And in Asian culture, this maybe can be very prevalent where the parents will tell you, do this job, marry this kind of person, very common. I think everybody will encounter this before. A parent will want us to bend to their will, even though they meant the best of us. And if we translate this to God, we feel that, I think what God wants me to do is very hard. How can I trust the Lord that don't really understand me in this way? And this sometimes is reinforced, and even though that we know that it is not true, but in our hearts, there is a aversion to trusting the Lord deeper in that sense. And perhaps we can look at this and examine some of the things and perhaps try to ask the Lord to come into those areas of hurt, which is difficult. You have to trust the Lord a lot. So later I'll touch on that. But the second obstacle is something which is perhaps something that we can look at more clearer, which is our attachment to things, to egos, right? To block our relationships. And sometimes these things can be very clear because it also affects our relationship to other people as well. For example, if we are obsessed with our headphones, you'll find that, when we go out with our significant other and we always look at the headphone, then we will have relationship conflict. The person will ask, your headphone more important than me, and things like that. Then you will quarrel and things like that. Because sometimes you have to admit, maybe your relationship with your headphone is better than the significant other. So that needs to be remedied. I just installed a program that helps me track how many hours that I use my handphone. I think I was quite shocked because I think of my waking hours, I think I've used, some days I've used about half of my waking hours on handphone. So that is something that I think I would look into. The only days that I don't use that much, or I use half of what I usually use, is on Saturday and Sundays. So when I spend more time with the Lord, then then those are the times that I feel maybe I should spend more time with the Lord in between when I'm bored, for example, or when I'm feeling lonely. So these are the times that we can look at, and instead of looking at handphone, maybe you look at other people. No, don't stare at them. Look at other people. Don't stare at them. You'll get into trouble. You stare at them. Or look at the sky. The sky is very nice. God made the sky for you today. When there's no cloud and it's very hot. God is trying to attract attention. It's like it's burning your skin, and yet you still look at your handphone. Oh, very hot today. So I think God tries to attract our attention. It's raining very heavily and things like that. So sometimes we should look at our relationship. What are the things that really blocking us, increasing our selfishness? But we look at these things and see how we can try to minimize them, right? And how to try to cut them down and try to increase the trust where we can let go. And this is where God might ask you to try to cut back a little bit more, so that we could have a more abundant life. So God is never something trying to siphon your life and trying to get your attention, but He's trying to get you to live a more abundant life. And in this case, for this example, a life which you can be free from the shackles of your handphone. So when we look into our fears of the Lord in a bad way, and our attachment, what can we do to really break free from them? And I think sometimes we have to acknowledge. I think there are 2 steps that I recommend that we have to do. At first, we have to acknowledge that sometimes by our own efforts we cannot break free from these weaknesses. It is very, very difficult to break free, especially they become habits and they become addictions. And we need God's help to help us. And sometimes we even deny them in front of other people and say, no, I'm not attracted to games, I'm not attracted to handphone, I'm not attracted to career, or I'm not obsessed with getting people's other approval and things like that. And secondly, once we have acknowledged that, we have to try to work with God's grace to try to battle these temptations. And I think one of the ways I think we can look at is when we are bored, especially at night, when it's quiet. There is a great temptation. I think it is very telling that when it's quiet, when we are faced with ourselves, what do we do? There are 2 things that can happen. There is a soft voice of the Lord that is calling you to come to Him, and there is a loud voice of the devil that is playing on your fears and your insecurities and all that. That sometimes when you hear these voices, you want to dive into your attachments and makes you feel good, right? All the games, all the maybe things like pornography and things like that. So these are things that it is really a circumstance that it can be for the good of us, or can be really bad for us. So when you hear the temptations coming, we have to try to substitute these things with something which is better. So it is where I think we will come into the practical steps that it can help us to grow in the trust of a lot. Some of the things that we have to look into that will help us. So one of the ways I think especially when we face with quiet time and face temptations, especially those who felt it at night when you feel lonely and all that. Some people go to drinking, some people go to the internet, some people watch Korean drama, yes. So you binge watch Korean drama and wow, very nice this one, wow, very good. Running away from your life and all that. Yeah. So it happens to me before, so I know. Okay, I also binge watch Korean drama before, so I understand. Okay, Chinese drama also have. It's very difficult to stop. I know what's happening episode until the whole series ends. So one of the ways I think we have to go into that quiet time by ourselves. And one of the things is the ways that we can do it is we do it in adoration. Right? Adoration is really a place. Adoration room is really a place where we come face to face with the Lord that loves us. And it is a place that we can come to Him without any hindrance. And it is also a place that we can speak to Him about our fears and our weaknesses. And that is very important, to build a relationship of trust. And it also will help us very deeply to fight against the temptations that we can come in our quiet time. And there's no doubt that, when you have quiet time, your brain will go all over the place and flow all over the place. So it is also a great time for us, when we are not too tired and sleeping in the adoration room, right? That we can try to still our mind and place our face before the Lord. And sometimes when we feel very far away from the Lord, I think we feel distrust, and which is sometimes very common because we are ultimately broken. We can turn to Mother Mary, right? She's not God. That's why, it is usually we don't distrust Mother Mary. She's really somebody that if we trust in her, in her motherly care, right? We can find peace and comfort when we are desolate. Okay. I know for many people here, praying the rosary is like like being tortured and all that. So I'm not telling you to pray the rosary, right? Praying to Mother Mary doesn't mean that you have to pray the rosary, but just be very open and frank to her, and tell her, your day. Let her be the perfect mother for you, right? And when you're feeling more comfortable, yes, you can go to 1 decade or 2 decades of rosary. Okay, 1 decade, 2 minutes, 2 decades, 4 minutes, very simple. Then later you can do 20 decades really, so easy, right? 40 minutes. So, yeah. So, slowly we do things in moderation, we don't force speed, right? So, sometimes, say, man, we always talk about pray, so holy for what? Okay, sometimes when you feel very lonely, right? Okay, and you really know to pray and all that, okay, you can do things like play music, if you can, play symbolic music. If you cannot, then you play Gregorian chant. Then, if you don't feel like, you feel very terrible, you cannot play this kind of music, then you can play secular music, which is good. Don't play those heavy metal. Noise is actually not good. If it's not too late, you can exercise. Go for a run. From my experience, exercise is really a sense where even though you feel very tired when you exercise, but the after effects of the exercise is really good. And along the exercise, you can really connect with nature. You can really allow yourself to connect with the Lord. And sometimes all you need to do is sleep, lah. You sleep. No temptation when you sleep, just sleep, man. Sometimes I wonder why I want to continue to be awake until so. Just sleep, lah. I know know you have to work tomorrow, but I might sleep lah. Trust me, when you sleep earlier, it's better than you sleep later because you will not regret the next day. You will only regret when you don't sleep enough, which is most of the time I will regret and I don't sleep enough. This is from everybody's experience, so it is true. So basically, right, you know, we are not advocating for holy moly lifestyle where you must like 24/7 like pray like that. But yet, you know, really help yourself to engage in an activity when you are feeling the sense of loneliness, right? To allow the space for God to speak to you. Go for walks. Right? At night you go for a walk, you know. And sometimes the Lord will speak to you. Last Friday, I think 2 days ago, yesterday, I was actually quite tired. Went for a run, I couldn't run so much, my leg was acting up, you know. Sound funny, I don't know where the injury comes. Like sometimes walk a bit, then pain, walk, pain, you know. So I run a bit, I run like 10 minutes, then no pain and no pain. I was like, okay, stop running. Walking around at that time in the evening, I think it really feels, it feels really good, right? Yeah. So and also I managed to catch a movie which I think really helps me to. I was watching this show called Saving Mr. Banks. Right, really talks about the relationship with the daughter and the father and all that. It was very touching. So it doesn't mean, and perhaps also a reflection on our relationship with other people as well. You know, all these things that can come about, you know, something good. Yeah, don't basically to allow God that space. Doesn't mean that you always have to go mass, you know, twice a day and all that. But you know, going for mass daily is good, right? Okay, but that doesn't mean that you have to feel forced that you have to do all these things, right? Where your relationship brings you to, God will meet you there where you are, right? God was not saying, okay, and though when you can levitate, then I'll talk to you. No, it will never happen lah. Maybe, you know, sorry, it will happen someday. It never happened, it will happen someday. Maybe not on earth lah. No, but what I'm trying to say is that God will come to us where our circumstances. We don't need to be holy moly where God comes to us. And I think God goes to, when Jesus is here, He speaks to various different people. He speaks to the prostitute, He speaks to the tax collector. And He comes to us, right? And He wants to be with us so much. That is the relationship He wants. He doesn't, you know, He doesn't want to come to see us only when we are spotless. He wants to come us as where we are, even though we are sinners. And He wants us to trust in Him, to trust in that mercy that He wants to give us. And He wants to give us, you know, the divine mercy is the portrait of exactly where He wants to meet us. You know? He wants to give us the mercy. Who cannot receive the mercy of God? Only people who think that they don't need the mercy of God. So the devil will try to convince us, you know, you are unworthy and all that, blah, blah, blah. But it is precisely we are broken. We are needy. That's why we need God. And we have to acknowledge that. And God can come to us. Right? So, in conclusion, right? Oh, okay. In conclusion, I spoke too much again. In conclusion, just a very short sharing of my life. Yes, I was told to do that in the prayer. Okay, very short, 5 minutes. Okay. I also struggle against loneliness quite a bit. Around 8 years ago, when I was jobless because I was totally burnt out and all that, I found myself, you know, indulging in online gaming. No job and playing games every day. Online gaming, I found myself a community and all that. But yet, you know, outside gaming, I felt very empty. You know, there was really, I was burnt out. There was no sense of life and all that. And eventually, I did manage to get a job by the grace of God. But yet, life was still very dry and all that. And yet, somebody introduced me to this community, Emmaus, and yeah, it really felt that really good to have a real life people community, right? Instead of the online community that you felt like, okay, which is very transient and a bit fake and all that. In the beginning, it felt difficult to connect with people, but eventually, for me, slowly, I connected with people and all that. And as time goes by, people come and go and all that. But yet, the sense of loneliness slowly starts to reduce. At times, I still go back to games and things like that. But yet, God always also draws me to Him, through people, through circumstances and all that, through retreats. And eventually, at this point of time where, people look at me, this guy so poor thing lah, no girlfriend lah, don't know what and all that lah, and that's what people at the whole place tell me, you must go get a girlfriend, your life no meaning, and etc. Okay? But yet, I don't know why, but there is a sense of joy when I come to, when I meet people, when I come here at this time. I can't say the same when it was 8 years ago when I entered the community, when I meet people. It is not because of people. People come and go, community changes, and but what is really constant is God. God is always there, He's always there for me, right? Even though I don't feel like being there for Him, even when I don't feel like going to church. But He fills me with a sense of joy that is deep within, and sometimes when I forgot about it, I become miserable, I become angry about it. But if I'm truthful to myself, here's the joy that's within. And if I were to just draw out from within, I feel that, I'm actually reasonably joyful in my life. I don't feel that my life is like wasted, like, no girlfriend, no wife, no children, your life pointless and all that. It's like, I look at them, it's like, you got family, you got children, but does your life make sense to you now? I mean, deep within, I feel that, last time the criticism was like, I feel like, very self, and like, no girlfriend, no children, But at this point of time, I felt that the Lord, it's not really my doing, but the Lord has allowed me to grow trust in Him. Very supernaturally, and yet He allows me to always go to Him. And I really urge you to persevere in this journey, right, with the Lord. And it can be quite difficult, it can be very dry, and sometimes you don't feel the Lord a lot of times. But it is really a journey worth taking, and He's always there. And we just have to continue to try and to acknowledge that we need Him. And He will come to us, right? And it does take us sometimes to register that in our heart, that'll be very good. And I think we must also be patient with ourselves to allow that to happen in our hearts, to have that transformation. The transformation that only God will bring. And we must trust that He will give us that transformation. That's it.